Welcome to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
Gerry Ricken with us here this weekend on Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. And Gerry, you made the comment, you said, a lot of adults need to work on changing their mindset when they enter retirement. Now, mindset, I think I turn the alarm clock off. That's the best frame of mind I'm ever going to be in. But what do you mean by changing your mindset?
Well, Mark, we have been taught during our working years that the most important thing we can do is accumulate and grow our nest egg. We accumulate, we put in, we make sure that we're investing the right way, and we're investing a little bit more aggressively when we're younger, and we maybe have a target fund in our 401k for our target date retirement. And we just want to build and build and build and build and build. When you retire, we want you to change that mindset. You have to change. You have to have a paradigm shift. The whole world changes. Retirement is not when you're working. And the way you act, the way you learn, the way you behave, the way you invest, the way you decumulate assets is completely different than accumulating assets. Mm-hmm. So you need to learn how to spend those assets so that you don't run out of money in retirement. You need to learn how to adjust your tax strategies in retirement. You need to learn how to effectively design an income plan to replace that paycheck. Everything changes the day you walk out the door with your box full of the things that were in your desk and all your pictures. Everything changes. So you need to change the way you think about investing, the way you think about living, because everything does change. You need to actually have a plan and not just, oh, I have a plan. That's my 401k plan. That's not a plan. That's an account. Okay. Let's just call it an account. That's an account. It's a retirement account. You have to really look at life differently, because think about people out there, the crazies out there, climb Mount Everest every year.
Right.
And when you climb Mount Everest, it's 29,029 feet from the base to the summit. The last 3,000 feet going up and the first 3,000 feet coming down are called the death zone. Why is it called the death zone? Because more deaths occur in that 3,000 going up and the 3,000 coming down than anywhere else on the trek. So we don't want your retirement. Just think of the ascent as your working years, but then think about that last 3,000 going up and all the way coming down off of that mountain as your retirement life. You need to have a different mindset and different tools and different ways that you think about going up that last 3,000 and coming down all that last 29,029 feet through your retirement years than you ever did going up that first side of the mountain, because it just takes a different way to think. And that's what we do at rickenfinancial.com is we actually look at everything and lead you so that you don't have something happen in that death zone. Mm-hmm. If something happens in that death zone, you can wreck an entire retirement plan.
Yeah.
You need to be able to focus on how does your investments meet your risk tolerance? What about your tax diversification? Are you diversifying in the right way tax-wise so you're saving money in taxes? So that's what I mean when I talk about changing the way your mindset, change the way you think.
RickenFinancial.com to have this conversation plus a lot more with Gerry, Heidi, the team at Ricken Financial, or 314-207-6211. Gerry, if you don't mind, I'd like to do some rapid fire with you. You okay?
Sure. Yeah. I'm game, Mark. I'm game for anything.
All right. I'm going to throw some of these acronyms out, and I want you to give me like the Cliff Notes version, if you will, of what these mean and how they could affect our overall retirement strategy. I start at the top. RMDs.
Required minimum distribution. That is the amount of money that the IRS says you must take out of your deferred accounts, your IRAs, your 401ks, at certain ages. The certain ages are, if you're born before 1960, you need to start taking those required minimum distributions out at age 73. If you're born 1960 or after, it is age 75. Now, do you want to take that money? You may not want to take that money, but you have to take the money, because if you don't take that money out that the IRS says you have to take out, you will pay a 25% tax penalty on the amount you did not receive. Did you hear me correctly there?
Yeah.
You didn't get the money, but you owe 25% on the money you didn't get.
Oof.
So we don't ever want that to happen to anyone. So required minimum distributions have to be coming out of your accounts by 12/31 each year.
Right. What about a QCD?
A QCD is one of the most fascinating and favorite things that I talk about and that Heidi talks about. A QCD is a qualified charitable distribution. So that sounds QCD sounds very similar to an RMD.
Mm-hmm.
They are related. Here is how they are related. Every amount that you take out in the form of an RMD up to about $105,000 per year this year, you don't have to pay tax on that if that money goes to a qualified charity, a 501c3, a church charity of your choice. So the way it works, Mark, is a QCD. And actually, I just talked about ages 73 and 75 for RMDs. When they changed the tax code to change those from 70 and a half to 72, 73, 75 for RMDs, they failed to change the age for a QCD. If you are out there and you are 70 and a half years old right now, you can take money out of your IRA, your 401k, up to the amount that would have been a required minimum distribution and give it to a church or charity and not pay income tax on that by using the QCD laws, the qualified charitable distribution laws. So it's a beautiful thing if you're charitably inclined to save in your taxes. However, I need to say however comma here, because you need to have some of that money come into your account before you pay it to the church or charity. So the timing of a QCD is very important.
As we're doing some rapid fire retirement acronyms here on Kicking with the Rickens, what about COLA?
Yes, and we're not talking about Coca-Cola. We're talking about cost of living adjustment. When we talk about cost of living adjustment, we think about inflation. Cost of living adjustments have been out there in Social Security for years and years and years. That was one of the giveaways in an even year, an election year that occurred in Social Security. But the cost of living adjustment for the next year is 2.8%. So those people that waited for that are on Social Security benefits from 25 to 26, you're going to get a 2.8% cost of living adjustment. Your benefit will increase. The cost of living adjustment sometimes does and sometimes doesn't keep up with inflation because it is calculated differently than what we typically as consumers consider inflation. When you go to the store, we're all worried about food. Food prices have gone up. Gasoline prices have come down, but food prices continue to go up. And we think about inflation, and the manufacturers have gone very clever because now instead of a 12-ounce can, it's a 10.5-ounce can, but it's the same cost. Well, that's shrinkflation. That's a way of inflating things without changing the price. They're just changing the quantity. So it's very important to keep up with inflation. And in our income plans that we design for individuals each and every day, we make sure that as things increase in the future, your paychecks increase, your paychecks increase, your retirement income increases, because we want you to live the same lifestyle. So in order to do that, we need to build in inflationary adjustments to our income planning tools.
How about LTC, something that a lot of adults don't want to talk about, but incredibly important in retirement strategies?
Well, LTC is long-term care. And when people don't like to think about that because they don't like to think about being diminished in their health. However, statistics say that, if you're 65 or over, 7 out of 10 of us will need some form of long-term care before we pass this earth. That means that 3 out of 10 of us will likely be providing that care, or at least helping to provide that care to a loved one. So it will affect all of us. So long-term care planning is one of the most important things we can talk about. Not having a plan is very dangerous because that's the way you can wreck a retirement plan. Having a plan, whether that's self-insuring, whether that's going on a government program like Medicaid, whether that is offloading the risk to an insurance company, all those are options out there. But we need to have a plan, and you need to know how you're going to be able to take care of that, because we want you to be taken care of the way you want to be taken care of.
That's right.
And a lot of people want to stay in their own home. We design plans for you to stay in your own home as long as you possibly can. But it's all about understanding what your options are and understanding how those options fit in or may not fit into your lifestyle.
At the end of the day, the team at Ricken Financial are going to treat you with a little TLC. We invite you to call. That number is 314-207-6211. Again, 314-207-6211. We're always available at rickenfinancial.com. Gerry, thank you. Thank you for great information, and thank you for a bit of an education this weekend as well. We're back next weekend, but before we get out of here, Gerry Ricken, take us home.
Every day is a holiday. Life is short. Laugh hard.
This has been Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.